பின்னி பின்னி வரும் சித்திர கைத்தறி நம்ம தென்னாட்டில் என்னாலும் கொண்டாடும் வேலையடி. சின்ன சின்ன இழை பின்னி பின்னி வரும் சித்திர கைத்தறி சேலையடி நம் தென்னாட்டில் என்னாலும் கொண்டாடும் வேலையடி. அன்னையர் தந்தையர் வண்ண குழந்தைகள் புன்னகை மங்கையர் போற்றி புனைந்திடும் சிந்தனை சிற்பிகள் தேச கலைஞர்கள் செந்தமிழ் சோலையில் பூத்த கலைஞர்கள் மங்கள மாநிலம் எங்கள் மங்கள மாநிலம் காக்கும் மறவர் யாவரும் புவி வாழ்வை உயர்ந்த மக்கள் எல்லோரும் வாங்கி மகிழும் பொன்னாடையடி வாங்கி மகிழும் பொன்னாடையடி. சின்ன சின்ன இடை பின்னி பின்னி வரும் சித்திர கைத்தறி சேலையடி நம்ம தென்னாட்டில் என்னாலும் கொண்டாடும் வேலையடி. தென்னாட்டில் என்னாலும் கொண்டாடும் வேலையடி. உழைத்திடும் எளியோர் அடிக்கடி துவைத்து வந்தாலும் மங்காத பார்வை சிங்கார போர்வை சிங்கார போர்வை. பணத்தொகை மிகுத்தவர் படித்தவர் பெருத்தவர் நாடும் பச்சை பட்டாடை பார்த்தால் கிளியாடை. பச்சை பட்டாடை பார்த்தால் கிளியாடை. ஒற்றுமையோடு அத்தனை நூலும் ஒழுங்கா வந்தால் வளரும். ஒற்றுமையோடு அத்தனை நூலும் ஒழுங்கா வந்தால் வளரும். இதில் ஒரு நூல் இருந்தால் குளரும். இதை ஓட்டும் ஏழை கூட்டுறவாலே உலகில் தொழில் வளம் உயரும். இந்த உலகில் தொழில் வளம் உயரும். என்னடி கண்ணம்மா இன்னும் சொல்ல வேணுமா? வள்ளுவரின் வழி வந்த பெரும் பணி வாழ்வில் நன்மை உண்டாக்கும் தன்மானம் காக்கும் தன்மானம் காக்கும். பொதுவகை புடவைகள் விதவித பறவைகள் போலே நல்ல நிறம் காட்டும் நாளும் புகழ் நாட்டும். நல்ல நிறம் காட்டும் நாளும் புகழ் நாட்டும். சின்ன சின்ன இழை பின்னி பின்னி வரும் சித்திரை கைத்தறி சேலையடி நம்ம தென்னாட்டில் என்னாலும் கொண்டாடும் வேலையடி. தென்னாட்டில் என்னாலும் கொண்டாடும் வேலையடி. கையாடைய சொந்தக்காரா கையாடைய சொந்தக்காரா.
A 1957 movie of Shivali Ganesan and Padmini to welcome the Honourable Textile Minister who is weaving her magic. Your attention to the head table, please. Kapil?
Yeah.
The President is collared. You can call the meeting to order, please.
The 32nd meeting of the Rotary Club of Madras is now called to order.
Anthem?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special meeting wherein the speaker is somebody very well appreciated, very well received, very well understood. Today is Basant Panchami, denoting the onset of spring. Also, Saraswati Puja is done in a lot of places. It is to usher in something prosperous, wealthy. President, to you for the welcome address and your RCM anthem.
Thank you, Gopalji.
Kapil?
Yes. It is truly an honor and an absolute privilege
Voice is less.
for us, the Rotary Club of Madras, to welcome Smriti Irani ji, the Honourable Minister for Women and Child Development and Textiles, to address us today on a topic that must be very close to her heart. Madam Minister, we understand that despite today being a particularly busy day for you and change of your schedule, you have still so graciously joined us from your car as you travel. You would be happy to know that Rotary will have its first International Lady President in 2023 from Canada. I would also like to welcome all our dignitaries from the Rotary world who have joined us as also our inner wheelers, our interactors, our spouses, invitees and guests. Welcome to all of you. Before I move on, I'd like a quick approval of the minutes of our meeting of 2nd February and 4th February, please. Thank you very much. I have two quick announcements to make before we move. One is I'd like to thank our Rotarian Archana for a donation of 25,000. I would also like to congratulate three couples, three Rotarians today whose anniversary it is. One is Rotarians Ramakanta Kula and Niharika, Rotarian Siddharth Ganeriwala and Harsha, and Rotarian Sharon Krishnarao and Lakshmi Narayanan. Congratulations to all of you today. I'll now hand over the mic to Gopalji, our MC.
No, we will go for Rotary Anthem now.
All right.
Rajesh.
There comes a time when we make a certain call, when Rotary will come together as one. The world is suffering so bad, and it's time to lend a hand to life. The greatest gift of all. Respect, collaborate, and motivate day by day.
Rajesh, the video.
We're all a part of the RCM family, building healthy livelihoods for all in need. We are the Rotary, we are the RCM, we are the ones who make a better day. So let's start giving, fighting polio and throwing COVID out. It's time we make a better day, Rotary and me. We are the Rotary, we are the RCM, we are the ones to make a better day. So let's start giving, fighting polio and throwing COVID out. It's time we make a better day, just Rotary and me. Come on, sing with me. We are the Rotary, we are the RCM, we are the ones to make a brighter day. So let's start giving, fighting polio, and throwing COVID out. It's time we make a better day, Rotary and me.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are the RCM. This is RCM for you. The acts, the performances, whatever has been the record has been shown to you as our anthem, and our ambition is to have something much more, much better in coming days. Meanwhile, can I request our oldest Rotarian, Archana Sanjay Singh, for the four-way test, please. Rajesh?
We normally need a little gap
Rajesh?
between the two videos. Rajesh is setting it up. Yes, he's setting it up.
One minute. Just
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Kapil, meanwhile, would you like to talk about our next project on the COVID and whatever information that you want to part with us, the members, the guests, and everybody?
I think RCM is very privileged to have been appointed as the nodal Rotary Club with the government of Tamil Nadu to act on behalf of the Rotary clubs in Tamil Nadu and to coordinate with them in their COVID vaccination campaign. Our club is at the moment presently getting prepared to work towards this, and we are getting all the other clubs in the city of Chennai on 3232 as well as the other districts on board very shortly. We are reaching out to all the district governors to work with us and to work together to make this campaign an absolute success. Thank you very much. Are we ready, Rajesh?
Yes.
I'm just it's not coming up on the screen for some reason. Here it's not working on it.
Okay, I think we'll move on for the four-way test, Gopalji.
Sorry, please.
I think there's been a little hitch on the four-way test. It's not playing.
Can we meanwhile ask Gopinath to fill in the details about women in Rotary, as today happens to be the day wherein the guest speaker will be talking about the women power, and in whatever way we have as a Rotarian done, he will be eliciting his opinion on behalf of Rotary Club of Madras.
Sure. Thank you, Past President Gopal Ratnam. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. This is an audience of Rotarians, so most of you would know what I'm saying. But then I have been assigned the pleasant task of giving you a brief history of how a service organization that was an all-male one to start with, to begin with, on February 23, 1905, turned into a more equitable, gender equal membership organization. History has it that as far back as 1937, at the very first district conference in India, when a member of our own club, that is the Rotary Club of Madras, Sir F.E. James, was the district governor, a resolution was tabled to amend the rules to enable women to join as full members. Obviously, that resolution did not see the light of the day. Then in 1950, an enactment to delete the word male from the standard Rotary Club constitution was proposed also by a Rotary Club in India. In 1964, a Rotary Club in Ceylon then and Sri Lanka now proposed again that women be admitted. Thereafter, again in 1972, a club in the US, and in 1977, a Brazilian club attempted, but to no avail. All 5 attempts were struck down by the Council on Legislation, which is the apex legislative wing of Rotary. But in 1978, one club, the Rotary Club of Duarte in California, goes ahead and admits women in their club in violation of the RI Constitution and bylaws. And that club was summarily thrown out of the Rotary fraternity. Once again in 1980, Rotary clubs in India, Sweden, Switzerland, and the US proposed to remove all references to members as male persons. In the meantime, the aggrieved Rotary Club of Duarte went to court, and after many years of the subject being sub judice, and in fact, in 1987, on May 4, the US Supreme Court ruled in favor of women being admitted into Rotary, thus opening up a new beginning to Rotary, and a welcome one at that. Automatically, the Council on Legislation took up this for ratification in their meeting in 1989, which was the only way forward because it is a court ruling. RCF Marine Sunrise, again in California, was the first to have women as charter members when the new club was formed. And Rotarian Sylvia Whitlock, who is still a very active member, became the first female president of any Rotary club in the world. In just 3 years, there were about 20,000 female Rotarians, and by 2010, the number had risen to 195,000 worldwide. As on date, there are about 290,000 ladies in Rotary, which constitutes about 24% of the total membership of 1.2 million. In India, the percentage is still at a very low 11 to 12% only, while we in the RCM, the Rotary Club of Madras, are slightly better off in that we have about 15% of our members as women. Women are also occupying the highest positions in Rotary, in that hundreds of them are and have been district governors. And since 2008 rather, 14 women have served as RI directors and TRF trustees, while a few of them have donned the position of the vice president of the world body. While we are in our 115th year of Rotary, as you all know, of our Rotary's existence, we will have our first female Rotary International President in Rotarian Jennifer Jones of Canada, who will assume the office of President on July 1, 2022, which is next year, which will be the 117th year of Rotary. We in RCM have had 3 female presidents thus far, and a 4th one is in line to take office next year, coinciding with Jennifer Jones being the president of Rotary International. So this is about the women in Rotary. And just to give you a small, brief about the Rotary Club of Madras, for the people who are not from Chennai or who don't know our club, we are the 3rd oldest club in India. We were chartered in 1929. May 10 was the inaugural date, and July 19th was the charter date. So we are the 3rd oldest after Calcutta and Bombay. And, Kapil Chitle, who's our incumbent president, is our 92nd president. By the sheer, dint of time that we have put in, we have many, many projects, both ongoing as well as one-off projects. And of the ongoing project that I would like to mention is a boys' town that we have. We hold 120 boys between the age groups of 11 and 16 in a 35-acre land that belongs to the club. We have a wonderful building there. We house them, clothe them, feed them, and educate them for 5 years, all free of cost. And we also run a kind of vocational training centers in both north of Chennai and south of Chennai, which has air conditioning and refrigeration and carpentry and then tailoring and computer classes and so on and so forth. We do a lot on women's empowerment too, in that we not only train them and give them the certificates, but we also have them placed gainfully in jobs with different corporates. So this is in a gist about the Rotary Club of Madras. I hand the mic back over to Past President Gopal Ratnam.
Thank you, Past President Gopinath. Rajesh, can we have the 4-way state, please?
Dear friends, when I was in school, my father, who was a Rotarian, put up a board in my school with a 4-way test. And I would see this every day, and it would resonate very easily in my mind, because these were the guiding principles or the values that were inculcated in me by my parents right from childhood. So what is the first tenet of the 4-way test? Is it the truth? Satyame Jayate. This word from Mukunda Upanishad means truth alone triumphs. So where there is truth, there is victory. Where there is truth, there is integrity, character, and trust. When this becomes a part of your life, then every action taken will ensure that it is fair to all concerned, it brings goodwill and better friendship, and is beneficial to all concerned, which are the other 3 tenets of the 4-way test. Thank you.
Thank you, Archana. The minister is completing her official work and will be joining in a few minutes. Meanwhile, whatever that is supposed to have been said in her presence, I am going to do it so that this goes on record and she will have sufficient time to go through it, that this is what the reflection of the affection that is shown by Rotary Club of Madras. நிமிர்ந்த நன்னடை நேர்கொண்ட பார்வையும் நிலத்தில் யார்க்கும் அஞ்சாத நெறிகளும் நிமிர்ந்த ஞான செருக்கும் இருப்பதால் செம்மை மாதர் திருப்புவது இல்லையாம். அமிர்ந்த பேருணுவாதிலே அவலமைதி கலையென்று வாழ்வரே உமிழ்ந்து தள்ளுதல் பெண்ணாரமாம். உதய கண்ண உரைப்பது கேட்டேன், பெண்மை வாழ்க என்று கூறுகிறேன், பெண்மை வாழ்க என்று கூறுகிறேன். Poet of 882, about whom our Honourable Prime Minister has this to say. First, I'll tell you what it is. Just 1 second, please. Minister's call. Hello? Joining now? Yeah, she's joining in another 5-7 minutes. Meanwhile, I'll just this was the opinion. This was the song written by Mahakavi Bharati, and it exemplifies our today's chief guest. Head held high, looking everyone in the eye, fearless of great virtue, sincerity, wise because there is integrity of conviction. A woman of resolute does not falter, neither feels inferior to anyone. Throwing vanity, she emits the beauty of a woman, appreciate femininity, appreciate victory of the woman. And this is by Mahakavi Bharati. And in his honor, the Honourable Prime Minister has this to say. Symbol of patriotism, social reform, poetic genius, and indomitable spirit of freedom and fearless. This was said by Honourable Narendra Modi ji on 11/12/2019 on in the Parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, we have somebody who needs no introduction, but protocol-wise, I'd like to request Maya Tyagarajan to start it so that the minister comes and joins us. Maya Tyagarajan, please.
Yeah. Welcome, everyone. Today, I am delighted to introduce you to our Honourable Minister, Mrs. Smriti Irani. I know that most of you already are familiar with her long list of achievements, but I will go ahead and share some highlights. Mrs. Irani is currently the youngest cabinet minister in the government. She is the Union Minister for Textiles and for Women and Child Development. In the 2019 general elections, she was elected to the Lok Sabha from Amethi, where she contested against Rahul Gandhi. Prior to this, she was elected to the Rajya Sabha multiple times from the state of Gujarat. As Mrs. Irani will be speaking to us today about women's power, I wanted to share information about some of the work she has done for women. She has been a tireless champion of women's rights in India throughout her career. She served as the national president of the BJP's Women's Wing, and during that time, she successfully ensured permanent commission for women in the Indian Army by facilitating legal aid to women officers. As the Minister of Women and Child Development, she oversaw the formulation of the National Policy for Women. This policy envisions a society in which women attain their full potential and are able to participate as equal partners in all spheres of life. The policy focuses heavily on education for girls as well as the prevention of violence against women. As you all may know, our Honourable Minister, Mrs. Irani, is also a formidable TV personality. Prior to her entry in politics, she acted in many hit TV serials and won numerous awards as an actress. As I've been reading about Mrs. Irani's impressive career, I noticed that she has accomplished so much while also doing the hard work of raising 3 children, Zohr, Zoish, and Chanel. Today, I am very excited to have her speak to our Rotary Club and share her insights on women's empowerment. With no further ado, I welcome our Honourable Minister, Mrs. Smriti Irani, to our club and give her the stage. Thank you so much for being with us today, Honourable Minister. Over to you. Is she here
Thank
yet?
you, Maya.
Yeah.
This is Maya Tyagarajan, Shian of Bank of Madras and Jupiter Textile Mills. Yeah. Can I say a woman activist fit enough to introduce a person to talk about women's power? Now, meanwhile, we have to wait for 2-3 minutes. I just now got a call that she is finishing a meeting and then attending to us. Can I have Kapil on the line, please? Kapil?
I'm on. I'm here.
Sorry?
I'm here, Gopalji. Yes.
Yeah. Would you want to have any more details of RCM so that we are able to fill up the time by the time she comes so that others do not feel a little disturbed about?
Well, I think several of the guests who are attending today have been to our meetings earlier and would have noticed that our RCM theme song for this year reflects all the work that RCM has really done over the last 92 years, at least a fair part of it. This is something that gives us a tremendous amount of pride and joy every week as we show it to all of you who attend our meetings. Well,
Can I take over, Kapil?
please.
Thank you, President.
If we have time, I can make the announcement of the next meeting.
Yeah, kindly go ahead, and then after that, I'll come into the project done for women's empowerment. Yeah.
Yeah, so our next meeting will be next Tuesday, that is 23rd of February at 2 o'clock on Zoom. And our directors of community service will be presenting all the work done this year till now on the projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Prasad. As regards the activities that are being undertaken by RCM over years and continuing is tailoring classes for the past 33 years. Roughly about 150 students pass out every year. It's being done in Sambakam. And we have a digital literary education done from the year 2012. Roughly about 200 students pass out, and they are all from the most deprived classes, and RCM has been in a position to conduct the classes free for them. And in the process, they've also been given a chance of health camps, awareness programs, awareness talks on banking, safety of women, legal aid, self-employment counseling, and we have the second project also being done in Selayu. In time to come, we are going to expand these activities. We were waiting to mention these things to the Honourable Minister, and I hope and pray the records will have all the details that you would have a chance to get across to, and anyone from RCM would like to say something that I can ask the secretary to unmute and then bring you in. We need to wait for another 2-3 minutes perhaps. Until then, we have
President, you need to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. One more thing I'd like to add to what past President Gopalji said was that RCM is also involved in environmental projects. The club has rejuvenated and restored several lakes around the city of Chennai. We have actually cleaned up, dredged, ensured that all the sewage outcrops are stopped. This extends to almost 500 acres of water body, and several thousands of people in different communities have benefited by this, by virtue of the water table being recharged. And it's a glorious sight to actually see the state of these lakes before we started and what they are today. Apart from that, we've also got a dialysis center that we are actively supporting, where we've so far been able to have 8 dialysis machines at ACS Hospital. In joint partnership with them is what we're managing this. We are now setting up a technical training institute as well for differently abled people for their training in engineering and so on, for them to take up sustainable jobs in industry. So work is afoot on several aspects with the Rotary Club of Madras. And I think we are always looking out for more and more worthwhile projects to take up as time goes by. Gopalji, are we ready, or are we still?
Let me check on. And meanwhile, can you bring in Mohan Raman? He will tell more about that song that played to show about the minister as a textile minister and now women's empowerment. He will tell something about that movie Pudayal, which was released in the year 1957. Can Mohan Raman come on the line, please? It could be a surprise for him that he is called without any prior intimation, but he is encyclopedia.
He doesn't need any prior intimation. I have made Mohan the co-host, and Mohan, you can come in.
Mohan?
Maybe he is away from the.
No, he was
away from the screen.
He was there.
He's away from the screen.
President, would you like to speak about the golf fundraiser?
Yeah, please.
Yes, thank you for that, Shanu. Ladies and gentlemen, this year has been a very challenging year, as you all would know, not just in general, the way we've conducted ourselves over the year, but also in terms of how we do service and raising money to continue to do good work has been a bigger challenge this year than it has been in most. We are, I think, 7 months down the year since this Rotary year started, and we are doing our first fundraising this coming Friday, which is a golf tournament, which is a merchants and bankers golf tournament that we conduct every year in the city. It is one of the more popular tournaments, well conducted, well attended, with support from several corporates who are interested in golf. And this year we are doing it on coming Friday on a much smaller scale though, but still, in order to keep our track record connected, we are having this tournament on, and I'm hopeful that it will turn out rather well, because there has been a tremendous amount of support for it. Well, I do hope as the year goes by, things do pick up where we get more opportunity to support our causes, but it has been a challenge. I'm sure all of you who are in Rotary will see that and understand it.
Kapil?
Yes, Mohan, are you here?
Now, in addition to what has been mentioned about the projects, would you also like to talk about the Her Place in T Nagar as well as the Pink Cabs, both of which are initiatives for women?
Yeah, we have got two initiatives for women and for the community at large. One is His and Her Place, which is a provision for a public utility, toilets for ladies and gents, in a very, very prominent location in T Nagar in Chennai. That's a location which allows or discourages people to defecate and encourages a public convenience. We also have for ladies over there a small area which could be used for conducting a medical consultation, etc., if and so required from time to time. The club also encourages a Pink Cab campaign, which is we empower women to learn driving so that they can in turn take up a vocation as a taxi driver or become, as another area of activity that they normally would not tend to participate in. Both these are progressing well, and we are looking at more such locations in terms of public conveniences that will align with our environmental campaign. God willing, this year we are able to raise a little more money than we normally do. I think
would you also like to talk about how we are supporting the Prime Minister's Swachh Bharat campaign by building toilets and going, supporting the anti-open defecation policy?
We'll do that too. Thank you for that, Mohan. We have so far, I think the club has built over 1,200 toilets in various communities around Gumadipundi, etc., where we have a boys' home. This is coupled with a campaign for behavioral change, which is something which is very important when we are trying to get people to change the way they do things and the way they, just to be aware that once a facility is given, to ensure that they use it effectively and it's for their betterment and safety. This, surprisingly, when we go to check from time to time, we have partners who go there and ensure that these facilities that we've spent good money on are used for the right purpose. We find very surprisingly that they continue to use it the way they are supposed to and not just use it as a storeroom. So it just goes to prove that once a facility is given, and provided it is given in a manner that is comfortable enough for them to use, it is put to effective use. So Swachh Bharat initiative is something that we are very conscious of. And as an extension to that, as I mentioned earlier, we're looking at such conveniences in open spaces within Chennai itself, if we are lucky enough to do it. This would encourage even urban areas where very often you find defecation going on from somebody who's been on the road for too long. Small conveniences like this, I guess, are what ultimately make a city smart. And that's something that we are all conscious of. Mohan, have I missed anything else out?
No, I was just trying to sort of ensure that all our environmental and human-related projects get highlighted, since we have the time to do so.
Okay.
Although they were all highlighted in that visual, but they may not know the details.
Probably what I could highlight once again is go into a little more detail of our COVID project that we are taking up in the next week or so. Primarily, vaccination is a government controlled activity, which the Rotary Club is not going to get involved in for the moment. However, the assistance required was to ensure that the vaccination process is convenient enough to carry through to the remotest parts of the state. And with that, to keep it effective, the cold chain is very important in any vaccine. So the help that we are going to extend with the other Rotary clubs of Chennai and Tamil Nadu is to provide vehicles in terms of logistics of a certain size, which will be reefer vehicles. In addition to that, we will look at providing freezers and of a certain capacity that can be located in remote health centers. And thereafter, to go to the tertiary or the last mile, we're looking at providing them boxes, cooler boxes, which ultimately would probably go to the utmost end location to ensure that the vaccine is delivered. Now, one more thing over here, which is, I think, very important, which we are still working towards, is the fact that rather than having somebody who's on a bicycle reaching a remote village somewhere with an ice box with the vaccine, we are examining to see whether it's feasible enough to look at mobile vaccination centers of a small size and capacity. That would ensure that remote villages per se could be vaccinated in one go. That would be something that would be, I feel, of immense help to ensure that this last mile vaccination.
No, textile, there is nothing, what are not
possible. Now,
textile, it came.
You all must have been seeing in the press that there has been some reluctance in terms of people wanting to take the vaccine. Well, I feel that one way of ensuring that others get the confidence that the vaccine is safe is for people like us to take it, I guess. So given the opportunity, if we take it, we will be able to put the message across to say that we have taken it when we are allowed to take it. And that would perhaps give the confidence to others to say that there are no side effects from people of different age groups and it will be safe enough to take.
President, I think we have the chief guest online.
Lovely.
Past President Gopal Ratnam. Prasad, would you like to check?
Yeah, I'm checking. I've been told that she has joined.
Under textile.
Madam Minister, are you with us?
Yeah, she has joined, but under what name? So I can.
Textile.
No, textile is without any.
Is Gopal Ratham still a co-host?
He's on mute at the moment, but
Yeah, he is still the co-host, and she has already joined because I got one more information that she has joined in. I'm just trying to see under what name so that I can make her co-host and she can straight away start speaking.
Unfortunately, our minister today, I think, was suddenly called away for some urgent work, which was not scheduled earlier.
Under her name.
And I think I'm grateful that she has.
No, she's rejoining now. She rejoining now. Okay. Yeah, she's on. She's on.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. How are you, Smriti ji?
She's muted. She's muted, obviously.
She is muted.
Prasad, can you co-host her?
I've made her co-host, madam. You can unmute and.
You can unmute. Unmute. Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening, and thank you for giving me relief. I've been tense the past 35 minutes, having about 500 and odd audience, and everyone were looking for the past a week to hear you, to look at you, to praise you, to clap for you. Thank you and thank you and thank you. Go ahead and talk. There is no going to be anything else other than what you are going to talk. And if you are taking questions, please let me know. Go ahead, Smriti ji.
Good evening. Thank you for your patience. I'm more than happy to take questions. This being an open forum for discussion, deliberation, I'm sure some who want to debate. I at the onset want to thank Team Rotary for having the patience and for showing the grace of not only inviting me, but also putting up with my crazy schedule. I'm currently speaking from the National Highway, in fact. I'm in the state of Gujarat, here campaigning for the local body elections. At the onset, if everybody allows me, I have to say a very nice good evening to some youngsters who might have joined the conversation today. Yes. These youngsters happen to be kids of an old colleague, Shweta Jaishankar, who is a member. Apparently, Shweta's children almost rag her every time the name Smriti Irani comes up. I'm an old colleague from over 2 decades ago. And when she told them that, I knew this lady once upon a time, there is a sense of absolute disbelief in her house. They don't believe that this is at the onset. My first message, yes, I and your mother go back a long time. She's a Rotarian, as was I, and we are proud to be that. You speak about an opportunity to speak openly on issues which are close to my heart. And today, while I speak to you from the road, what better way to discuss building of a nation that stood at the precipice of the unknown in the year 2014. There are many amongst you who, between the year 2012-13, spoke of opportunities lost. There are many amongst you who, between the year 2013 and almost approaching the general elections in 2014, spoke about the need to have a government at the center that fulfills the aspirations of the average Indians. There are many amongst you who were kind enough to say that government can become a facilitator, that government can provide a platform for equal opportunity, for equal competition. There are many amongst you who said that we are not a nation that awaits a dole. We are a nation which has strength enough, resilience enough to build a new country, a new future together, as long as the government doesn't get in the way. And I remember those conversations emanated from various scams that took place. There was a sense of disarray, there was a sense of despair in that time. And at that time, we saw a resolute nation elect Prime Minister Modi into office. Uh, I still remember when one of the first clarion calls the Prime Minister had given was to build a toilet. It was not a fancy program, and many Indians wondered why would a prime minister speak about it from the ramparts? Why would a prime minister speak about it from the ramparts of the Red Fort? And possibly for the first time in Indian political history, you had a clarion call given for building of toilets, which is the most basic of facilities known to humankind in modern times. And there were many who were bewildered as to why would somebody want to talk about toilets when all prime ministers did was speak about other things which were considered politically more prudent. And the prime minister, hence, when he spoke about building of toilets and gave the clarion call, we ended up building in the past 6 years 10 crore toilets for 10 crore families. Now, if you do the math in India, even if in one family we have an average of 3 people, which means that 30 crore people in our country had access to a toilet for the first time in their lives, courtesy your support, courtesy a lot of people who voted for the prime minister to be in office. Now, there are some who say that this is a social change that came about, but there was economics behind it as well. In the year 2010, the World Health Organization and many international agencies came up with a calculation that every year, at least in the Indian annually due to sanitation, which means if you do the decade math, it is a staggering number. There was again the Prime Minister's adherence to cooperative federalism and a call to at the rural level. And that is what, under the Prime Minister's leadership, 6 lakh kilometers of rural roads have been built. A country that towards the fag end of 2014, in the erstwhile government, was building 2 kilometers a day of national highways, today is building over 30 kilometers per day of national highways, which includes the COVID time. I say today that we are a country of possibilities. We are a country which looks for opportunities even in the most difficult of circumstances. And why do I say this time and again? I remember in the month of March 2020, when we were confronted with the COVID pandemic, international borders were being sealed. And one of the greatest challenges for us was to make PPE kits available for our medical community, for our frontline warriors. There was a sense of absolute panic across the world because even a country like India, a land of engineers, a land of designers, a land of frugal research, we never had even a single company that produced a PPE suit. The national volume that was used of PPE suits, all imported into India, was close to 50,000. Now, 130 crore population awaited the services of frontline workers and medical communities. International borders are being sealed. In the lockdown, not a company was operational. In the entire textile community, we had only one research center in Coimbatore, which had limited staff. Everybody said, how will India do it? We got together across all silos of government, be it the MEA, be it health ministry, be it state governments. I remember we came together when the entire country was locking down, a group of people who were conscious of the time, who were conscious of the circumstances, and we reoriented our industry. And in just 2 months became from 0 companies to 1,100 companies which manufactured PPE suits. Today, we are the second largest exporters in the world. This story brings me a lot of solace and delight, because for a nation in a state of lockdown, which had never produced a PPE suit, to do so in just 2 months, a nation which had just one lab to turn around and have 11 labs in just 2 months, a nation where we generated in lockdown business worth $1 billion without a rupee spent on subsidy. That is a nation which is telling the world that we are now poised to be Atmanirbhar. And how can we collectively provide, sustain that dream of self-resilience, self-reliance is what maybe we can discuss today. I am extremely privileged and blessed to have the opportunity to see history up close, to have the opportunity of partaking in some of the most historical reforms our country has seen, which includes having a national education policy reform after 3 decades in our country. I know the challenges are aplenty. I know that time will test many of us. But I also know this, कि जब नेता और नीयत अच्छी हो, तब ऐसे परिणाम आते हैं जिससे इतिहास रचा जाता है. Once again, I'm grateful for the opportunity to converse with you. I look forward to questions that come my way.
Over to Usha.
Ma'am, can you take a few questions, please?
Yeah.
Sure, I can.
Usha, here is a fashionista who has got her own design workshop and who has been doing export of textiles. The person who did a four-way test, the person who was to introduce you, who introduced in your absence, are all people connected with the textile industry. And now Usha, another person connected with textile industry, and the women power is what we can see of them coming and waiting for you. The most thing is the reward is you are coming on a national highway to talk to us. Thank you very much. Usha, please take over.
Unmute yourself, Usha. Unmute yourself.
Unmute.
Madam Minister, we are highly honored to have you with us today.
Thank you.
We have a number of questions from our members. I think I'll probably take them in the order of women-related questions first, and then maybe questions related to textiles, and then something more that we would like to know about you. So,
fire away, Usha ji.
Thank you. So our Rotarian Sunil Shankar has asked, as is mandatory in all organizations, we have an internal complaints committee in Rotary Club of Madras as well. Here is so he wants to know, does a monitored national, state-wise, city-wise roster of these committees make them more meaningful?
I think absolutely. It's a very good advice. It's a very good suggestion. And we are in the current budget blessed with the pronouncement of a mission called Mission Shakti, which will predominantly look at safety and security of women. I will take this suggestion and in fact try and implement it, because currently we are dependent on states, on corporates and other organizations to implement the law as is being structured and framed. But I think a national platform where these details are made available will be more relevant to the cause of women.
Thank you, ma'am. Rotarian Rani Murlidharan, this is her question. We help educated and experienced women return to work. Our vision is to increase the GDP of our economy by increasing the participation of women in the workplace. The biggest roadblock is non-availability of trustworthy childcare support. Can the government encourage accredited, legally bonded childcare centers at different price points in residential areas? We will be happy to work with you in establishing standards.
The National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, the Ministry of Women and Child Development, the Legislative Affairs Ministry, the Consumer Affairs Ministry, Ministry of Education will all be party to this kind of an approach, which is child-centric and parent-centric. Though I'm grateful for the suggestion that has been given, to presume that the government can prescribe a price point would be a bit of an impossibility, because can you truly bring a price to good childcare? So I think that in an economy such as ours, which is not an economy which is restrained, one would look at a template which is a structured manner or a methodology that can be adopted by states and community at large with regards to what are the prerequisites of a good childcare institution or a creche. uh, we can take that under advisement for sure. But Ushaji, this actually brings to light that I should visit this club often, because two brilliant ideas have come just in the opening of this conversation.
In fact, I have a request to you, Madam Minister, that you have to promise to come when once social restrictions are removed, an evening meeting to start sharp at 7 and go on talking till 8, and another half an hour of your question and answer session, so that we will feel really, really happy and satisfied, because we feel sad that a day who started at 6 a.m. for you on the road and the meetings and talking to us, showing your responsibility, your commitment, your well-meaning attitude towards life. Usha, can you continue, please?
Yes. Has the ministry, these are questions by Dr. Sharon Krishna, a member of our club. Has the ministry thought about combining destitute and old age homes with orphanages? It will be such a beneficial symbiotic space for both children
would
and
not
elders.
be possible. Would not be possible. Especially given that the rules of conduct governing constitutionally both these institutions are different, and so are the administrative structures. So though communities can ensure that there is a symbiotic relationship between the two, administratively it is a challenge, and I would not prescribe to a lie. Hence, I'll be bluntly truthful and say that it is not a possibility, not as I envisage it.
Thank you for your very straightforward reply, Madam. The other question she wants to know is, CARA is doing a great service for parents looking to adopt, but the time taken to clear an older child for adoption seems to be almost 12 months. Is there
And
any
more.
way to hasten the process?
And more. In fact, there are many people who've been waiting for longer. We are hopeful of bringing an amendment to the JJ Act, since it is to be presented shortly, till it doesn't get cleared in Parliament, which is forthcoming. I do not want to be presumptuous enough to make a pronouncement, but I would like here to declare that the government is conscious of expediting the needs of parents and children who are to be adopted, and to ensure that CARA, we are dedicated to ensuring that CARA can be strengthened and services bettered. So that will surely happen in the next 30 days. That assurance I can give.
There is a question from one of our members. India, with its young population, is always sitting on the possibility of becoming the largest polluter by encouraging disposable pads or diapers. Urgent awareness is needed for the government to promote sustainable menstruation and encourage and promote reusable pads and menstrual cups.
I don't think whoever has asked this question wants to talk about sustainable menstruation. I think that's a very, very unfounded to say that women need to menstruate in a sustainable fashion. I don't think might be the niyat of the person who's asking this question. Are menstrual cups not totally biodegradable? So instead of pushing a project or a product, let's try and make sure that when we talk about the enhanced use of sanitary pads, which through 7,000 Janaushadhi Kendras right now are available at 1 rupee a pad, we can have clubs such as yours also dedicate through your funds incinerators to institutions where poor women can help dispose of their sanitary pads.
Thank you, ma'am.
You have any further questions?
Yes.
I mean, can you make it a little faster so that
Yes.
Minister is anxious to answer many more questions?
Yes. What steps have been taken to protect our ancient wisdom in textile industry? I am from Chennai, Arni and Kanchipuram. Both are reeling under severe stress and closing down. This
I
is from
think
one of
that
them.
history of textiles under the Ministry of Culture is something that a lot of proactive work is being done. But the legacy of textile from one generation to another is transferred when families and communities come together and teach their children that sense of appreciation. There are many who switch from handmade cloth or handmade sarees in the handloom segment to power looms because for them it is a better income source. And I think that even consumers today at times are challenged to distinguish between the quality of the two. So I think that more and more when communities are focused towards appreciation of a certain kind of handmade textiles, you increase the demand in the market and the economic ability of the weaver and of the weaving community. So while the Ministry of Culture, while the Ministry of Education, in a sustained fashion engages with the youth and with the children with regards to the rich textile legacy, I think that when we
I think the connectivity is
we've
poor.
lost your audio.
No, she'll come back. She must have hit a spot.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Your voice is going off.
Back.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm on the highway as I said.
Yeah. I mean,
You're
very,
back
very,
now, you're
very nice of you and honestly thankful. I mean, this is a very unusual experience for us, Pritiji. Usha, quickly.
Yes. Madam, the next question is there a possibility to support making all school uniforms all over the country? Is it possible to make support them being in cotton? Because in a hot tropical climate like ours, the cotton would be the best thing. But most schools opt for polyester blended fabrics because of the cost factor. If all children in India wore cotton school uniforms, it would be far healthier for the children, and probably the handloom weavers would never be out of work. Was I audible, ma'am?
No, she is right now on freeze, so her signals may be low. Yeah, she's coming back.
Can I be heard? So in a democratic country such as ours, madam, let it be the choice of parents and children what they want to wear.
Yeah, no, not being forced to wear, but the only
like I said, they already have the only answer to this is that schools are well aware of parents and children's choices. Let schools offer any choice that they deem fit, and let parents and children, and especially responsible parenting demands, that let them choose what kind of a material they would like to use in conjunction with the school management committees. Everybody wants the child to have natural fiber or fabric in terms of what they wear. And why only school? Why not only at their own homes? But let that choice be personal.
There is a question
There's somebody who wrote.
our
There's
Rotarian.
somebody who wrote that parents are not given a choice. Well, parent-teacher organizations can always get together and make choices known.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
There's a question from our Rotarian Indrani Krishnaya. Just as the government has supported our farmers with MSP, will the government consider a similar support for the creativity and lives of hard-hit handloom weavers and artisans?
I would like to
Considering
say
they have
that
no alternate. Yes.
I would like to say this, that farmers get MSP for their produce. And if you're seeking a dole for no work, I don't think that would be sustainable. I think what is sustainable is if a weaver has access to a market on the GEM platform where the government of India and state governments do procurements. We have already onboarded over 1.5 lakh weavers. Through Mudra Yojana, we are giving interest subvention and credit access and support to our weavers. Anybody who makes less than 20 lakhs, does not come under the GST bracket. Who are poor in this country have access through Ayushman Bharat for over 5 lakh rupees of medical coverage and access to 24,000 hospitals across the country. You are aware that under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, over 2 crore homes have been built. Priority is been given to make sure that clean drinking water through pipes are given to families, and over 3 crore families for the first time in their lives have received Nal Se Jal. So when the hard-working taxpayer supports the Indian Treasury with the hope that Bijli Sadak Pani is ensured, those access, those credits, those supports are given to every Indian who is economically, socially challenged, which is in our country.
Thank you. Will the government consider setting up free online learning apps for primary education available to all Indians on the lines of Byju's, Vedantu, etc.? The women
I don't think that people are possibly aware that there was a portal dedicated only to the kids of this country during lockdown. Over 18 billion learning lessons happened in all languages. That facility was already provided to all children, all schools in the country. Children who did not have access to devices were reached out to by volunteers, parent volunteers, student volunteers, teaching volunteers. Children with special needs were reached out to with not only devices but also teachers who teach children with special needs. So I think that today anybody who is related to the segment of education knows that from preschool onwards to up to class 12, all material is already available free of cost already online in all Indian languages. So you can help download it and make sure that it is passed on to somebody you think is in need.
Thank you, ma'am. This is a question from Rotarian Hemant Chodia. While there is an increasing trend for compliance to be met in all businesses, what measures is the government taking to reduce corruption?
I think that gone are the days where you could hear of 2G and Coal G and Commonwealth Games corruption. I think one needs to recognize that one of the biggest challenges when the Treasury needed to connect directly with the citizens of the country was that direct benefit cash transfers were not something that the erstwhile UPA government was very comfortable with. For the first time under the Modi government, we had over 200 government programs where citizens got direct transfers from the Indian Treasury into their bank accounts. And I must say here that when the government came into power in 2014, we started a program called Jan Dhan Yojana. Many people were mocking the program as to what is the point of having such a program. For the first time, 41 crore Indians opened their bank accounts. In the pandemic, Of those 41 crores, there were 22 crore women who for the first time had a bank account. They received cash transfers worth 30,000 crores. In our country, for senior citizens, pension was around 100, 200 rupees in many a state. That was enhanced to over 1,000 rupees. That money went to senior citizens and in their bank accounts directly from the Indian Treasury. Over 10 crore farmers, small farmers, received 1 lakh crore rupees directly into their bank account. So I think that when you're talking about how do you stem corruption, I can proudly say that through direct benefit transfer, we in the government saved 1,80,000 crore rupees of the Indian taxpayer money. The question that begets us all is, what did this money, where did this money go during the erstwhile government's time?
Madam Minister, there are going to be 2 questions from Usha. After that, the President will be asking a question coming up, and a nice vote of thanks.
Yes, I will have to expedite it because I'm scheduled to give another speech in just 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Then we will cut short the 2 questions and one question from the President Kapil Chitle. And I want you to sum up in 2 minutes your message to this crowd before the vote of thanks come. Accept it, and we'll say thank you very much. President Kapil.
Thank you, Gopalji. Madam Minister, I must confess, I've been a big admirer of yours for several years, ever since you probably got onto television. You've always communicated with the clear element of passion, conviction, and clarity of thought. But my question to you is this. I'm an architect, and I've seen on construction sites, the female labor is always paid lower than male labor as a norm. And they do as much, if not more work. Is there some way to make sure that disparity is taken care of?
Well, sir, you know that equal pay for equal work is the law. Needs to be responsible enough to ensure that that disparity does not sustain. So I think that we can ensure that we report such misuse or this disparity to the Labour Commissioner's office. There are many who might shrug it and say, "Mujhe kya karna hai?" But I think as responsible citizens, if we are aware of this kind of a disparity, we should inform the Labour Commissioner's office immediately.
All right. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kapil. Can I
just
request?
One last point is that your point about incinerators, ma'am, is well taken. I think the Rotary Club of Madras will certainly look at that as a sustainable project.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kapil. Can I ask Rupa Shetty for a formal vote of thanks, before which, Smriti, 2 minutes of your summing up of today's experience before she comes for a vote of thanks.
Well, there are many questions in the chat box that I can see which have gone unanswered. Somebody came back and said, well, you can use the menstrual cups again, and better to use that instead of sanitary pad again. I said it's a choice of a woman concerned what she chooses. The question is that both are not completely biodegradable. There are some people who want to know when can I join some chat in possibly Hyderabad. Anytime that you invite me. Ms. Sheila Ramakrishnan, I want to thank her for her kindness in the chat. There is somebody who has said Nandri. So I shall say thank you back to that person. I can only say it's been an absolute pleasure. Although it's in the most unusual circumstances, I hope to see you in person sometime.
Look forward to that.
Probably in May, I will bother you for a actual meeting that will be taking place.
So all the ladies who have joined us today, this is what a typical gentleman does. He decides the time and place for you to meet. And knowing the kind of woman I am, I normally don't concede.
Yep.
Okay.
Rupa?
Yeah.
Unmute yourself, Rupa.
Unmute
yourself, Rupa. Rupa, unmute yourself.
Click on the unmute button, Rupa.
Is she made co-host?
Bottom left side of your screen.
Yeah, unmute. Yeah.
Yeah, she's ready. Yeah.
Honourable Union Minister Smriti Irani, President, members and guests. On behalf of the Rotary Club of Madras, I express my heartfelt gratitude to our Union Minister for taking time out of a busy schedule to address us today. I remain inspired by your immense clarity of thought, unrelenting sense of purpose, and steadfast diligence. As a woman and as an entrepreneur in the textile industry, I have long admired Honorable Union Minister Mrs. Irani as a dynamic leader, firebrand, and a game changer. She exemplifies the dignified balance required between the power of democracy and women's empowerment. I'd like to share my 5 takeaways of today's discussion. The sky is the limit, calculated risk pays off, a leader's skill matter, not qualification. Young India is on the rise. Opportunities. Finally, believe in yourself. Honorable Minister Mrs. Irani has provided a bold and impactful blueprint for countless women and girls to make positive impact in our community. Thank you for your time and wisdom, Honorable Minister. We are grateful to have the privilege of your company today. Thank you.
Thank you, Rupaji. If you allow me, Rupaji, just to interject, on your chat, I have somebody from Bangladesh who has joined us from the Central District of Dhaka. নিশ্চয় আমায় যদি ডাকবেন আমি digitally আপনাকে join করব।
Well, she is a Bengali from the mother's side, obviously fluent in Bengali.
I am waiting, sir. If you could teach me Tamil, I am up for it.
Madam Minister, just for your information, on the call today, we have close to 500 people from all over the world, including UK, USA, the Caribbean, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and many more countries.
So to Rotarians from around the world, greetings from India, from Chennai, from Gujarat.
Thanks a lot. In fact, it is customary to say to anybody thank you, but in an unusual circumstance, when your commitment has been fulfilled, we are honestly grateful. Thank you, President. You can close the meeting. It's up to you.
Thank you
so much
for inviting me.
Thank you.
The 32nd meeting of the Rotary Club of Madras stands adjourned. Thank you all. Thank you, madam. Good meeting, sir. Thank you so much.
Kapil, Gopal Ratnam, congratulations.
Super.
Fantastic meeting.
Very well done. Thank you, everyone.
In fact, grateful to the Rotarians, guests, everybody who could bear our, I won't use the word inefficiency, but circumstances forced us to make you wait. And to my mind, it's a worthwhile waiting.